now in my point of my career where everything has been for the past 15 years, just purely live and die by the sport. And I've kind of graduated through a point in my career where I feel like, and it might sound wrong, but kind of having the not caring attitude, which is like on what you were saying, never get too high, never get too low, because the emotional swing can swing really hard both ways.
Finally, it's his day. Hunter Lawrence takes his first ever 450 Pro Motocross win.
I haven't got energy to be like emotional or happy or whatever, so it's good to get the monkey off the back.
What up, everybody? It's been a little bit, but welcome to Title 24, presented by NBC Sports, coming at you, me, RC, and RV. Stoke took a couple weeks off before we get going. Thank United Motorsports, Quadlock, Boxo, Dunlop, and Cardo. Hey, got something special for you guys. Today we have a special guest. Hunter Lawrence is going to join us on the show today. So after his big win at Ironman this past weekend, super stoked to have him on RV. But dude, we've been out of the saddle for a couple weeks. Dude, you were at Wyndham's. That was cool. Farm 14. And then you went to Loretta's. We didn't get to talk to you after Loretta's. So you got to be smoked. Just kind of recap Loretta's, your ride home, what you did, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, man, it was good. I left July 8th, myself and the boys and Ezra, our little buddy. We did so myself and took 3 8-year-olds, drove 38 hours to Mississippi. Spent about 12 days at Kevin's at Farm 14 as they were training for Loretta's prep there at Farm 14. We jumped in. Boys had a blast, did a lot of fishing, got to see just, what it's all about, for the Loretta's camp style, living out of a motorhome for almost a month. And then we head up to a buddy's house in Kentucky for 3 days. And then to Loretta's, for myself, doing the Yamaha hot laps for opening laps of practice, which was awesome. Got to ride, I think 6 or 8 practices, and I actually stayed out on the track for a couple laps. And
how was it, dude? Like, were you pumped on the layout? Like, what you think of it overall?
It's definitely way better than it was when myself or you, Ricky, raced Loretta's. They've done a lot of work to it, but it is probably one of the toughest tracks that I have rode. And the reason why that is because you have so many different levels of riders. You have shaft drive PW 4 to 6, and then you have all the way up to like 50 plus or 60 plus class. So every different braking point, throttle points, everything on the track is from all those different riders. The thing is just rougher than a cob. Obviously it's probably the hottest place on earth to race your motorcycle is Loretta Lynn's. For the biggest amateur race. So it was a blast. The boys got to check it out, got to swim in the creek, swim in the river, hang out with their buddies and get exposed to it. So if they ever make it there in the future, it won't be hopefully as overwhelming as it would be for your first time just going there, racing, experiencing it all in one go. And then we headed home, man. So it was a great trip. Lots of memories made. I'm sure they'll remember that forever. Road tripping it with Dad. So yeah, it was a blast. And then, it was a lot of fun. But man, let's, you went on a dual sport ride, right?
Yeah, I did. So we went out to South Dakota, just right outside of Sturgis. We stayed in Deadwood, killer little Western town. Probably a lot of people that listen to our show, they've been there or have heard about it. Sorry. It's where they filmed Deadwood. That was a killer show, by the way.
Yes, it was.
But we stayed out of there. There were like 11 of us. A couple Aussie friends came over, made the trip. And then just some friends of ours that had normally joined the ride. And nevertheless, it was most of all a success. At the end of the second day, literally, we were just getting done filming our content, and we're coming down this hill, right? And Stanton put together most of the routes this trip because he was on there with us with Jeff Stanton Adventures. And then that dude rips. You and I were talking about it yesterday. You said Bradshaw still rips on it. But yeah, we're going down this hill, right? And as we're going, like I'm trying to clean my visor on my helmet, and Stanton comes by and he like pushes me off the track, off the trail. I'm like one-handed. There's rocks. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing, you wild man? And as like I start to close my visor, I hear someone going, oh shit, oh shit. And and then I hear someone like grunting. I'm like, uh-oh. Because a lot of times, like on those big adventure bikes, RV, like if you put your legs down, like the foot peg can run over, snap your leg. So I'm like, uh-oh, somebody put their leg down on these rocks and snapped their leg. And I look back and it's JH tipped over and he's grunting. He's like, he can't breathe. And then he's like hunched over. So and literally, I'm not kidding. He says he's doing 8 mile an hour max. I'm guessing it was probably 5. But how he fell down like the opposite. He fell down the way that the hill was going down. So he fell like along. That's right. And he came down. Now, he's probably 230 pounds. He's going to get mad because he's going to say he's less, but I like to bump it up a little bit. But yeah, he goes down and yeah, he ended up breaking his collarbone in several places, had to have a plate in it. And then he bruised his lungs. But nevertheless, yeah, it was kind of scary. That's the first time we've ever been in a spot. We were about 15 miles away from our home base there. And at the end of the day, he was able to get back on his bike. And we had about, I don't know, half mile to a mile of really rocky terrain that he had to get to a big fire road, and then he would have been home free. He was able to do that kind of with his with his hand lightly on the handlebars, and we got him back, and that was it. Yeah, that was hated to see it. He was bummed, but what?
If it happens to anybody, RC, it's always good to have it happen to one of your good buddies, because the stories and the laughter afterwards,
Yeah,
it's always good,
I and like we were kind of. I mean, listen, we got thick skin. RV, you do, I do. Like all of the crew that we're with, we got thick skin. So you better be injured if you go to the hospital. Is all I'm saying. And we were teasing. We stopped at the Boar's Nest on the way down, right by the house that we were staying at, and they were all saying like, "Man, I bet this is the only time you want to walk in and get some X-rays," wishing and hoping that there's something broken, because if not, he's never gonna hear the end of it, right?
Oh yeah.
He's like, oh gosh, please let something be wrong, because if I don't, these guys are gonna tear me apart. But nevertheless, it could have been a lot worse. Everyone did a great job, went into, I wouldn't call it survival mode, but hey, let's get this taken care of. And then we rode one more day and it was great. So I always love doing those. It's a lot of fun. There's so much land and beautiful areas of this country that are untouched, and it was a lot of fun. Nonetheless, we're gonna get you on one. But as we move forward and kind of downloading from the last 2 weeks, head over to United Motorsports. Go to unitedmotorsports.com/title24, enter your email, get a $15 credit towards your first order. Then you will automatically be entered into a drawing for a $50 credit on your next order. So cool little promo there by United Motorsports. Big Ray Butts, he was on our ride. So thanks, Big Ray, for this promo, and thanks, United Motorsports. But of course, we teased it a little bit at the top of the show. Our special guest, Hunter Lawrence. I mean, the United Motorsports moment of the week has to be this guy. So let's bring the man of the hour in, Hunter. There he is, the man of the hour, Hunter Lawrence. Mate, congratulations. Me and you were texting back and forth once in a while, and it was only a matter of time. Take it how you want it, but you've been doing incredible all weekend, and just good job, dude. How does it feel? It looked like a hot one. Talk about it, brother.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. It was a wild day. Gee, there wasn't one, at least in the 450s, there wasn't one point of the day that wasn't interesting, or something was like, damn, had you scratching your head after the first moto, what happened with Jett, and then the second moto, that minute of when I tipped over and then I'm back on the track, and then Chase's crash, and then I went off the track again behind the start gates on that single. I got kicked sideways. I thought I was going to die and end up in the creek. So it was a wild day, but no, happy to get through it. It was tough, mate. It was a tough day. I didn't feel, you know, you can't pick the wins, right? Because I didn't feel good. That was probably the worst I'd felt physically, myself, and on the track all season, and it ended up working out. So it's fun. It's kind of humorous now, but yeah, like after first moto, you're like, all right, I got a lot to improve and stuff. So it was, yeah, interesting day to say the least.
What do you think that was from, Hunter? Was that the 2-week break, just the way the track developed, the heat? Why do you feel like you were off?
I mean, we obviously go back to the drawing board, and that being in the rental car, debrief, leaving the track, right, on what it could have been. And, you know, we're going over the workload we've done on the break. You know, you always kind of should you got a little bit more rest, but you're always trying to squeeze everything you can out of the body and yourself, you know, to finish off the year strong. So we're probably just going to have a little bit of a lighter week this week, but it was sneaky. At the same time, I wasn't the only guy feeling that way. You know, I think the feeling was pretty mutual across the board. So it was weird. Like, we've raced in hotter temperature numbers, but there was something about it. I think the track's just such a physically demanding track. Like, there's everywhere. You're jumping something, and there's maybe 2 jumps that you have a nice down ramp. Everywhere else, you're just falling out of the sky into the face of another roller, into a wall jump. There's a lot of impact around that track. So it's a tricky one.
A lot of G-forces down on the body.
I feel like too, Hunter, this might be weird to you, but I feel like tracks that look like heavy, like that track was, the dirt was heavy and thick, like fluffy, if you will. I feel like sometimes those style of tracks, and like you're saying, coming from the sky, which takes a lot of energy and all these big jumps and G outs. But going back to the fluffy part, I feel like they hold more moisture for some crazy reason. And it's just like the air is so stale and thick, and it makes that feeling worse. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you guys know, like, Budds Creek is normally a scorcher because it's in that hole. There's no breeze, and it was kind of like that. But yeah, just odd, mate. It felt like the whole lap, all I was doing was trying to keep the bike at a steady ride height, because it's just going in, out, because there's so many jumps, so many G outs, so many soft bumps. There's a ton of wood chips mixed into the track, which they create a really unforgiving, unrealistic braking bump that grabs and sucks the bike in and makes it react even more than just your conventional dirt braking bump. So it feels like, you know, you're just constantly trying to, when the bike compresses, you're trying to be light. When the bike unloads, you're trying to put weight down on it, and you're just doing that the whole lap. So yeah, it's a tough one.
Did you guys have to maybe make a couple little setting changes between Moto 1 and Moto 2 to combat that, what was happening on the track?
We talked about it, honestly, but it's like, there's never a perfect motorcycle, but there's a predictable motorcycle, right? And we were leaning towards making a change, because, I mean, there was spots on the track where my fork would bottom out a lot. Like, I'm talking more than 5 spots on the track per lap, which is a big enough thing for me to warrant a change. But I'm like, dude, but then there's little sections where it feels quite stiff, where you could have a little more softer feel. So it's like, I want this to help the bottoming control, but if we do something like that, are we going to lose even more on the touch and initial compression of the bike? So I was just like, you know what, like, screw it. I know what it's going to do. I know the bumps it's going to kick on. Let me just go out and deal with it. So we didn't make any change.
Predictability for sure in that situation is key. Like, we've talked about it a million times. I would rather, even if it's not handling proper, I'd rather know exactly where it's going to perform well and not perform well, and just ride it out. Like, especially like for me, like tires, I was that kind of way. Like, I would run like an intermediate tire on hard packed tracks, just because I knew exactly what it was going to do. Maybe it wasn't giving me the grip that a hard packed tire was, but it was more consistent. So, dude, I get that. Did you like the track changes at all? Like, it was faster. It was tight. Did you like it?
I thought, probably get a bit of flack for it, but I was never like so big on the Godzilla, like jump up,
Mm.
fall out of the sky, turn and jump down the hill. I thought the new section they put there was quite cool. It kind of reminded me a little bit like Bud's Creek, jump up into your little plateau and then turn around and duck down the hill. I thought it was really cool. The section before the finish line was different. I didn't mind it. Honestly, if there was anything I could change about it, it's probably the wood chip. I feel like anytime we bring a lot of wood chips and stuff like the sawdust or the mulch, we call it, into a track, it does keep the moisture in the ground, but almost too much sometimes.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't like how it blows off the top too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky, and it's almost like I felt like the first moto watching it back in between the motos, I'm like, dude, I maybe 2 corners around the lap where I was on balance coming out of a corner in a rut, and I'm like, was it, am I leaning off the bike or whatever? And I'm like, well, I really focused on that in the second one, but I'm like, I come out on balance, and then all of a sudden you go from traction to having no traction. The bike would, slide or whatever, 450 on the slippery stuff is an animal to hold on to. So you're just constantly working around the track conditions and the bike but it's that track. I feel like that track does it more than any other track on the circuit, to be honest.
It looked like it got more chewed up this year. Like, not maybe as I don't want to say as rough because it was rough, but it just looked more like it got a little more square edge, a little more of the hard pack came through in areas than maybe years past.
Yeah. It's like when it chews through, it goes to Timbuktu, right? But then you have these hard pack edges like on the jump faces and a lot of stuff where it's almost like you're hitting a curb. So when it's hard, it's really hard. And where it's soft, it just digs like no tomorrow. So it'll be interesting. Nations, obviously, everyone knows it's there. The two biggest factors. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish what you're going to say. I have something about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, like we're just chitter-chattering on the cycle and stuff this morning, but the 2 biggest factors I think that will change how the track is in nations compared to the nationals is the temperature, the climate for that time of year, and then the more GP riders in the field. I think that's the 2 biggest variables for both of the Motocross of Nations at Redbud were those 2 things, and the track was so different to how it was during the summer.
Yeah, so RV and I were talking before you came on, and I was curious because RV's raced MXGPs. You have also, and we're like, well, crap, we'll just ask Hunter. So, like, based off of what you saw this weekend, and we did hear that the track is going to be that was what you raced this weekend. Outside of whether if they have to modify anything with maybe how they till it up or not till it up, whatever. But the layout and everything was the mock-up for the MXoN. So based off of that, you already talked about the climate. Do you feel that style of track this past weekend caters to, say, guys like yourself who are racing the U.S. Pro Nationals over the MXGP guys, or no?
No, not really. I mean, if we're going to talk about advantages, I think the biggest advantage is the crowd. The home team, USA, it's in their backyard. That, I can tell you now, if there was a Motocross of Nations in Australia, like, you're not going down there for anything less. Like, you're going to put a little extra sauce on it, right? Like,
right.
I'm going to die on the track if need be, because I'm in front of my people. So I think that's about the only advantage. I mean, I don't think it's going to play a big thing about that.
Hey, RV and Hunter, I feel like this, just like, dude, I've been removed from racing at the level that you're at, Hunter, and RV, even several years after you kept going. But I feel like the gap is so close now between the MXGP guys and the US guys anymore. Like, the advantages are so much smaller, if any, like you're saying, if any advantages at all. Everyone is so talented. I feel like that's what I see. The difference in. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know.
No, I agree. I think the days of like you know, we've done more laps on this track layout. We know the track layout better. That doesn't, you know, exist. Like the GP guys are so good at motocross. It's all they do all year long. You know, there's no supercross cutting into their motocross time. And the American series, we go to a supercross stadium, we have to learn a new track in 10 minutes every weekend, you know, and then you come to nationals and it's one lap, green flag, lay your heater down. So, yeah, I think there's not really an advantage. I think the bigger advantage comes from the unfamiliarity. Crawfordsville, it's a tiny town. There's not that many good restaurants, like stuff for good food,
Hotels.
right? You're looking at healthy food, you're looking at stuff like that. Is it, I mean, geez, a weekend like this one past, like that's hot. Like the Euros don't get that heat over there, you know? So those are, I think, are the bigger advantages.
I feel like, you know, moving along to SMX, Hunter, we only got 2 more Pro Motocross rounds. You've had a hell of a Pro Motocross championship so far. Dude, do you ever look back and think of like how close you were to winning that SMX World Championship? Like I always, like once in a while I tell people, like, dude, you were so close. And how do you feel about coming into the playoffs this year, and like what's your mindset looking like, and are you excited about it? Because you almost bagged it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was close, you know. We I don't
It
look back on
was.
it too much. I don't think I dwell on it or look back on it, because if there's anything that could have been different, I mean, we both raced a pretty perfect race. Like none of us really made any mistakes. There wasn't any lap times that dropped off big from myself. I'm excited for this year. I think where I can really gain is first round. Like me personally, I can only look back on where I think I could be better, and that's first round in Charlotte. Both years of SMX, I haven't been great there. Second round last year was really good to me. We're going to a new venue, and then the last one, yeah, just keep knocking on that door. I mean, keep just doing the same thing. Like I get to where I am because I just focus on myself and make sure I execute a good start, go out, do the best I can do. You know, we're working on things during the week, on the weekend, pardon me. And I mean, if there was one thing that I think could have changed the outcome, which is a shoulda, coulda, woulda, would have been had I lined up on the opposite side of the split start gates to have the rear brake coming into the left, opposed to coming into it on the right, on the left-hand side, right turn, not as much rear brake. But that's a huge what if, shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? Mate, it could have swapped and been the same outcome. So that's the only thing that in my mind I'm like, maybe it would have been a different outcome. But then leading is different to chasing. Who knows? Who knows?
Do you feel like, you know, the seating? I personally feel like the seating is a big thing. I think sometimes it's overlooked, because, dude, you know how it is with points, championship, RV. You know it better than anybody. Also, I think like if you could, the highest seed, I mean, you're obviously starting at an advantage compared to, say, like maybe where you entered, where you're entering right now. Like I look at a guy like Justin Cooper, for example. Like, dude, he's sitting pretty. I mean, he has a
Yeah.
nice advantage going into round one. I mean, you talk about round one. I don't know. I feel like sometimes with the playoffs is what I love about it. Like the seeding is super important, and sometimes it goes unnoticed.
Yeah,
No, you don't think?
yeah, I'm not a massive like live and die by the seeding. I think as long as you're in relatively close, right? Obviously you can't go in 15th, but like
Right.
let's say, you know, top 10 may be a stretch, but I think if you're in the top 5 or close enough to the top 5, the top guys are going to be up front all rounds, and it comes down to the last race, you know. Like
Triple
my
points.
250 year, yeah, my 250 year, I was like almost 100 points clear, got seeding into from Supercross and Motocross. I had a ton, and you know, obviously I got injured at the last one with 100 point points gap going into it. Won the second round, which was double points. it doesn't mean anything. So I think as long as you're relatively close, anyway, it comes down to the last one as a decider, in my opinion.
So after Pro Motocross, get SMX done. Any overseas stuff coming up? What are you guys thinking about that? Obviously, a good little break, probably, right? You recharge the batteries and drive some cars, probably play some golf. Do some shit like that.
Yeah. We are obviously after SMX Nations, so that kind of another 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Okay. Yep. Nations.
And then Nations, and then we'll probably take 2 weeks off, and then we have Paris and OzX Open again, which those ones are cool. Like they're good fun events. We obviously the chance to go back to Australia is unreal. We love doing Paris. It's a good fun a weekend away, and that's about it. And then obviously get back into the grind of it, Supercross testing and whatnot. So it'll be good. I think we're definitely in a better position going into the off season than we were last year. Last year we had the new bike. We figured out so much stuff on that. We're at a really good place on it, so should be good.
And no changes. I mean, you guys would probably know, but no changes for upcoming bikes or anything like that. You'll run this one for another year or 2 seasons. Another season.
Another season. As far as what we know as of now, we have a new bike coming, obviously 27. I'm pretty sure, but that'll
do you like developing a new bike like that? Like obviously there's it's new and shiny. So from an athlete standpoint, like I was like, okay, new bike, it's it should be better, but then obviously you ride it and you're like, okay, this is better, but then now we got to work on these things. Do you like developing those for the race season?
Yeah, I don't mind it. Like it's not something I absolutely joy for. I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? And the more time you get on the same thing, it just gets better and better and better, and you know exactly what that bike needs. And if I'm chasing something or a characteristic, you've got a couple years on that same platform, you just go, put this into it, and it's sweet, But it's obviously we are, as a racing team, just another marketing tool for the manufacturers to sell motorcycles and stuff. So it's just part of it, and everyone has to deal with it. So you do it. It's a job. It's one of the coolest jobs, I think, in the world, to be a professional racer. So like anything, you just go into it with a can-do attitude, and you give your absolute best at whatever it is for your job.
I love your pragmatic style, dude, and your approach and just your personality. I think it's awesome. Not only for the sport. I think I said this before, Hunter, RV. You've heard me say it, RV, but it's like for the 450 class where you just have to. I feel like you have to be that way, and some days it's just going to be what it's going to be. As much as we want to win, as much as we always want to do better, it's just not get overexcited and just let things come to you and just always do your best, right? And I think that I don't know. I think for your career, and especially again for the 450 class, I think it's an awesome approach. And dude, you've done a hell of a job. Real quick before we let you go, you made that post about your car. I know you're super into cars and all that fun stuff. So tell us a little bit about that. And do you have another project with the car coming up?
Yeah, so cars is something that now, in my point of my career, where everything has been for the past 15 years, just purely live and die by the sport. And I've kind of graduated through a point in my career where I feel like it's, and it might sound wrong, but kind of having the not caring attitude, which is like on what you were saying, never get too high, never get too low, because the emotional swing can swing really hard both ways. So it's a little thing that I've just always been so passionate about, just absolutely love it, and something that I kind of want to pursue post career in the automotive world. I love working on my cars, just customize them, exhaust, wheels, like just the simple stuff. But it's cool, like the post job satisfaction, like when you mow your lawn and you look back and stand back, put your hands on your hips, and you're like, yeah, that shit looks good, it's just that same thing that kind of ticks. But we had
car washer, or do you wash your own cars? Do you have a guy wash your cars? Do you wash them?
I wash my cars all year round except the first, probably something like outdoors when it's like back-to-back weekends in a row and it's like, 95 outside and humid and recovery is like really, really important. So I do enjoy washing the car again, post satisfaction. I'm a big labor guy. I don't mind labor. I pick up a shovel. My dad raised a worker and I don't mind getting my hands dirty and getting in and amongst it. We got badass Boxo toolbox that we got, hooked up with. Thanks, JH
right.
and Ricky, to get going. That was a big step in my mechanicking career. Amazon tools only get you so far.
Hey,
So that was
no job is impossible with the right tool, brother.
Amen. My dad always tell me, you know what shit is trying to do a job when you haven't got the right tools. That's the only shitty job. And yeah, I do.
That's awesome.
I'm a testament to that because I believe it. I'm a graduate of YouTube University. My YouTube browser, how to yada yada all the time, but no, it's good. It's good.
Well, mate, congratulations on your win. It was a long time coming. You stuck with it, never gave up. You talked about it a little bit on the post-race interview there, but it was only a matter of time before you bagged that win. You take it however you can get it. That's for sure. You're gonna have a good SMX. You did good there last year. I have no doubt you'll be there again. Just pumped for you, dude. Pumped for you. Great ambassador for the sport. Thanks for coming on today. I know your time is precious. RV and I do not take it lightly. So thanks, mate.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, Hunter. It's good to get you to knock down that first win. I know it's been I think what you've been missed it 10 times, right? I think I heard that on the broadcast.
Yeah, we've been very close, very close.
Yeah, they're always sweet. No matter how you get them, they're sweet.
Yeah, exactly. It's all good. The cat, dude, wire still checks clear. Like you said, Ricky.
That's right. They don't when you wire your check, like I told you, they don't ask how it happened or how far you won by, right?
I told Jett, I'm like, no, dude, it sucks. And like, I feel bad for you, but not bad enough to split the bonus. Sorry, champ.
Oh, I love it, dude. All right. Well, have a great week and good luck in Unadilla, brother.
Cheers. Thanks boys. Thank you.
Oh, dude, it's always good having Hunter on. I tell you what, RV, I like that guy. Talking with him and his approach just to life in general. So like people who haven't, that listen to this podcast and don't know Hunter like RV and I know Hunter, dude, like he's that way away from racing.
Yeah.
I mean,
very down to earth. Methodical on how he approaches, like you said, life or racing or whatever he's doing. So I enjoy talking to him. He's been fighting for that win for quite a while now, and he hasn't had the easiest run from the 250 into the 450, but he's just stuck with it, with that mentality that you were just talking about, that I was talking about, RC, just the way he approaches things, like it's going to happen. And he finally knocked it down. I mean, he's racing one of the best dudes in the world. Just happens to be his brother, pretty gnarly. And to be in that situation, there's no way you can slice it any different. It's just insane good on the bike, but so is Hunter, and he's been working his ass off and finally put it on top step of the box, regardless of how it came about.
Mm-hmm.
He's stuck with it, and that anybody listening, any kids listening, that's really what you have to do, is just keep grinding, and eventually you'll get there.
That's right. 100%. Never give up. And to like, how it is, RV, like, and this is what I love about Hunter's approach also, is like, dude, and he said it before, some days I'm only good for second. Some days I'm only good for third. He's like, I can't do any better than what I can only give it my best. And some days your best isn't just enough. And like you said, his brother and other guys cast a big shadow. But dude, he keeps going. He never gives up, and he's been at the right place at the right time a couple times, and it pays off. So I want to give a quick shout out to Timmy T 123 _ stud, and we talked about it a little bit. before we get on the Dunlop debate, which is going to be wild. Timmy asks, how much will the track change from a national to the MX of Nations? And we spoke with a couple people at MX Sports, and the track is going to be very similar, almost identical. Hunter reached on it, touched on it a little bit, and I think it'll be a good racetrack. I mean, it's a bit faster, right? A bit faster. Jeff Russell is the track operator there, so he was the one that was giving us the info on what the track is going to be like. So hopefully there'll be no weather. The weather will cooperate with us, but I think it'll be a good racetrack, RV, for the MXoN.
So do I. I think great. It's I got to go there for a GNCC last year, so that was my first time at Ironman ever. But it's a great viewing. I think it's Crawfordsville, a really cool small town. So we're gonna bring in a pile of people, a pile of racers. Like, we're gonna flood that town. We're gonna flood that pit area and that whole place and
the compound.
I mean, it's just anybody listening. If you're on the fence of maybe going or not going to MXoN, you gotta go to MXoN. Especially here because it really is. It really is. And we have an amazing team this year. With Eli, Haiden and Chase. So if we can get it done, it'd be huge to get it done here on home soil. The Europeans are going to be good. They were good last year, and we touched on it with Hunter a little bit. Like, there is really no separation anymore. Like, I think when we were teammates, when I've gone 4 times to MXoN, you've gone 4 or 5 times to MX. Yes, 6 times.
Yeah.
I believe we did have the upper hand, say 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever it was, if you look back.
Yeah, for sure. Without a doubt. Going into Budds Creek, there was, unless something catastrophic happened, I felt I wasn't you're never overconfident. Well, I'm not. I don't think you are. We're always racing like, someone could beat us, but like, I felt good about our chances so long as we managed it properly.
Yep. So I think the gap is there is no gap. The gap is very, very close. Like Hunter said, MXGP guys get to ride outdoors all year round, and that's all they ride. So maybe the setup's a little bit better. Maybe they're just better, a little bit better in outdoors where we have to switch back and forth. So, but the team's super strong for US. I'm looking forward. I'm going to be there. You'll be there, RC. It's a race we try not to miss. So if you're thinking about it, get out there, get your tickets. If there is any left, who knows? I don't know. But it's a hell of a weekend. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. And it's only a week after. I think there's a weekend off, and then the MX of Nations, I think. So yeah, tickets are still available, so you can get it there. I can't imagine those guys cutting off ticket availability. But dude, a hot topic, RV. As you guys know, people tuned in here today, whether you're watching Title 24 or listening, we take a lot of questions each week. JH just sifts through all of those questions. We do as well, but he does most of the legwork on there. And dude, it's the start thing. So the Dunlop debate this week, lots of fan questions about it. If the penalty was too severe. And we have Mike Peltier, the director of AMA Pro Racing. I believe that's his title, but he's one of the big bosses there. You see him on Supercross, Motocross, SMX. Sometimes when he has to clarify a red flag or what a ruling is. Nevertheless, we have some sound of what the rule said or how he justified the penalty. So roll that, Aaron.
Yeah, when you see Jett hit the gate, he's in front of the field, and when he takes off, he still has an advantage in front of that field. That's considered jumping the gate. That is a set penalty in the rule book, so that's not a varying penalty. Jumping or fouling the gate is a set 1 lap penalty.
Yeah.
RV, you wanna take it away, brother? Go ahead, lay it down, dog.
So I understand. Obviously, we just heard from Mike what the rule kind of states, and let me put it this way: I think Chase hit the gate this year. Gate didn't flip forward. I'll make it very simple. When Jett hits the gate, it flips it forward. So now he has interfered with the 42-man gate dropping. And also he rolled forward a little bit and had, I'll use the word advantage. It was an advantage because, and I know that's the discrepancy. Oh, well, he didn't get a good start because he did hit the gate, but he interfered with the actual gate dropping and flipped it forward, and then pulls forward a little bit. And has a handlebar or a grip in front of everybody before anybody else has left the gate. So that right there is why, or par for the course of docking of the lap. If he would have just hit the gate and the gate would have stayed where it was and fell backwards and just held himself up, it would have been just a typical, hey, big mistake, no penalty. And he would have had a bad start. But because the gate flipped forward, it was purely interfering with that gate drop. So I know there was some, there's some people, there's always chatter. There's always chatter on the internet of like, oh, penalty was too hard. He didn't have the advantage, but he interfered. And that was what the rule book states as interfering with that gate drop.
Yeah. And two, when you look at that replay, I personally believe when he flinches the second and third time, like the gate goes forward and then he flinches again. And then that's probably where they like, so he'll flinch, boom, the gate goes forward. He's ahead right there. And then he goes again, like he'll go a second time and a third time, the second angle, like the side-by-side angle, watch, he flinches. And then right there, if he waits until everybody goes and then goes, then I don't think he gets penalized. See, he'll flinch and then he goes, double clutches it. That's my opinion, but it's pretty cut and dry that they deemed that he had an advantage. You said it perfectly.
And RC, if we go back to that last shot, actually, Justin Barcia hits the gate also.
Yeah, he did.
But it didn't flip. It did not flip forward. It was a typical hit the gate situation. Well, he wasn't docked. It was based on him. He caused his own issue, but it didn't flip that gate forward. As you can see, Justin leaving pretty much last because of hitting the gate. But there was no penalty on his side because it was just straight up. He made a mistake. He went because everybody flinched to the left of him. Justin did the same thing, but it didn't flip that gate forward. That flipping that gate forward is why Jett got penalized, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. Do you think if he doesn't double clutch it like that, like what I was explaining,
I think it would be a very gray area. I think that rule at that point would then be gray because it is kind of written in stone in the rule book of what Mike Pelletier was talking about. But if Jett would have hit the gate and not had the jumping, or the gate may result in a penalty of 1 lap or disqualification. So I think if he would have hit the gate and it still flipped forward, but he didn't flinch again, then I think we may have a gray area, because then you can't use the word advantage. He didn't have a grip length or a bar length or 6, 8, 10 inches, whatever, and it actually ended up being. But really there, when the gate flipped, I think that was the kicker, the cherry on top.
Yep. 100%. And then, the rule is as clear as can be. So, Lars wasn't pumped. Lars wasn't pumped. Lars Lindstrom, the team manager of Honda, he was talking to Mathis afterwards. He said the spirit of the rule is to keep from getting an advantage. Obviously, it's not about the advantage, was the AMA's take, or Pelletier's take. It's not, he didn't gain an advantage, obviously didn't get a great start. It wasn't like he did it on purpose to get an advantage. That is true. It wasn't malicious. Like he was like, I'm going to jump the gate. No, which was why the spirit of the rule is there. So to me, it pisses me off that the penalty would be that big for something like that. I don't make the penalties. You don't make the penalties. It is. Nope. Yep, it's crazy.
Just give you guys the information.
That's right. We comment once in a while. I mean, it's crazy how many good guys have hit the gate, dude. Did we talk about this? Like, I'm trying to think if I ever hit the gate, like in my professional career, and I can't recall any time that I did. Now I may have. I've had a lot of cocktails since then. Two kids that are 18. I mean, dude.
I don't think I've ever hit the gate in my pro career, but probably as an amateur one time or another. But that's kind of par for the course. We put so much emphasis on the start. You know, with the field, with the class that we have in the 250 and the class that we have in the 450, how deep the field is. If you don't start up front, it's very tough. You know, Jett rode an amazing first moto. You know, I think he made it back up to 6th place, which was very impressive.
Yeah.
But once again, he didn't go from that start to first. You know, and if you are, and I know he's got a big points lead, and you know, it wouldn't really matter either way, but he didn't make it to first. So that's why I think we put so much emphasis on getting that start. Oh, he made it back to 3rd. Sorry. I see this 6th right here on our work, but, we put so much emphasis on that gate drop that, dude, one little flinch by the guy left to you or yourself, like, that stuff can happen.
Mm-hmm. Let's switch gears. I'm done with that. I think you explained it perfectly. Let's go over to the Boxo breakdown. This was another hot topic. The boys, I'll tell you what, the guys gave us some meat to talk about today. Boxo breakdown, check it out. Boxo USA. Hunter was talking about how he has a killer Boxo setup for working on his cars. He ain't scared of labor. I like that, dude. I like that. But has to be Sexton. So that was wild to me. I thought for a second, like, this is before I saw that the wheel had locked up and everything like that. I'm like, oh, dude, I wonder if he got distracted because Hunter was coming back on the track. But that little single jump, I don't even think there's a tunnel there before the mechanics area. And I'm sure you've done this, RV, where you late break it and then there's not enough tire rotation for your front wheel. But yeah, he goes down. That was a tough impact. I hated to see that because he was riding hella good all weekend.
Yeah,
Great
it was.
first moto.
Yeah, he did, and he got really lucky. You can see how he loses balance because when the front wheel locks up like that, you have no gyro effect with the front wheel, and then you're just a sail in the air, and it falls out of the sky because the front wheel's not moving, and you have no stability when you're in the air. And you can see the right leg comes down first and touches the ground. So, you know, could have been a lot worse than it was. As you can see, he's getting up. The front brake is locked, which he had to, you know, the bike expired from that point of view, and his race was over. He rode a phenomenal first moto, and then, you know, it seems to happen to Chase more than I think the fans would like, and all of us would like, because that was going to be a good second moto, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was. There it goes tipping over again. We're watching. So he's just like, the hell with it. I'm out of here. Frustrating. He was on his way to probably getting another overall. Hate it for him. That's crazy. So Ian Harrison, he said that there was debris. So everyone knows, there was debris in the front brake, and that's what caused the lockup, which is wild. Wondering, I think he's had that in his rear brake before, is what Ian was saying. But nevertheless, I think just a freak accident. You know, I can see how I wouldn't call it a freak accident completely, because, you know, the sawdust was probably, you think there was sawdust on that face, and maybe, I mean, you're loading the brakes so hard, right? You're loading that bike so hard, you know, with your body energy, the G-force coming up to the face, full compression. It was a little bit ruddy there. It's just wild. Like, I think it's crap luck for
it's
free to get in between breaks, dude.
And was it, you know, the question is did it happen? Clearly it didn't happen off the necessarily the takeoff itself. Did he over brake the front brake and then it slowed the front wheel down or stopped the front wheel in the air, and then the front brake, what had happened after the crash when it locked up? Did that happen before, or did that happen after? I'd have to imagine it happened right now when the bike hit the ground on the right side, the throttle side.
So you don't think it's locked?
Why I say that, RC, is if it would have been locked up going off the takeoff, or prior to that, I think we would have had a bigger crash than he already had. So did he over brake coming up to it? and then drug the front brake kind of too long, right? And then slowed the rotation or locked it up right as it left the ground. And
Fair
then that
point.
was for the off balance because he had no gyro effect of the front wheel. And then as he went down, so we don't know. But yeah, just call it bad luck. And in the end, bad luck. I mean, because it's racing, we won't really know exactly or ever probably know exactly what happened or what caused it. Was it the crash there that caused it, or was it prior?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, that was a good explanation. Yeah, like wondering, did he drag that initially? I thought he drugged the front brake too long, and then he didn't have enough roll speed to get the gyro going on the front wheel. I'm like, oh no! But then when he got up, obviously you could see his front brake was stuck. But that's interesting. Maybe the debris got in there when he landed, like you said, which is completely possible. I hate to speculate. It's stuff like this, RV, for me is so hard to believe, bro. Like, how can that happen to this dude? It's just wild, man.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, Chase, like I said, Chase was riding really well. First moto, crushed it. Second moto was in a great position. But like you said, RC, it just seems to happen more times than not. And it's a bummer, man. It really is, because we were set up for a great second moto there.
Yeah. What do you think? So the battle between him and Jett, that first moto, was pretty good. I mean, they both came from behind and then got into the top 5 and then started marching up forward towards the lead. Brock Hammond asked a great question. Jett hasn't passed Chase since Washougal. Is the speed gap closing? What do you think there?
Dude, I thought the battle was really look, Chase and Jett right now, as we're watching the replay, like Chase wasn't giving him an inch, almost high sides Jett there, not on purpose. Like he was going for the line. Jett was coming in hot, couldn't slow down enough. Look, the bikes are just, they were just riding the wheels off that. And I think the way the track was set up also made it to where it was good for Jett, but also great for Chase. They both were riding very well. I don't know if the gap has closed, RC, as much as I'm just going to say it now that we're coming down. We got two rounds left.
Yeah.
Chase isn't in it for the championship, but we know Jett wants to finish out, win as many races as he can. But he's also so methodical. The Lawrences, both of them, Hunter and Jett, are so methodical on how they race and their mental strength and the way they race and think when they're on the motorcycle is very, very high level. So Jett's going to give it his all, but I don't think he's going to put himself in a position to do something stupid. So right. And the other thing I will say is Chase might have just been on that day. We just talked to Hunter, and he said that he personally wasn't. He struggled a little bit just with the bike, maybe the track, whatever the case may be. We asked him about making setting changes. He said, you know what, I just want something predictable. And maybe Chase was the opposite. Maybe he was just flowing and feeling it, and bike was awesome, and he didn't have to make any changes.
Yeah, that too. And I think that possibly that Jett probably burned quite a few matches trying to get up to the front. He was considered a bit further back than Chase was, and then just got there, was trying. And then the way to RV, like when the track gets like that and it's super ruddy and it's till deep, completely different. We talked about how well Millville was prepped, not as fluffy, not as deep. It allows you to move around a little bit. So as you start to come up through the pack, each pass becomes more difficult. So, as Jett closes in on Chase, I mean, Chase is, dude, he's one of the baddest dudes out there. So Jett's just not going to go blowing by. And then when you take the track that is very difficult to pass on because of all the ruts, you can't move from left to right like you could at a track, say like Southwick or how Millville was prepped. You're kind of married to that line. So you have to absolutely send it. You have to ride, maybe over your limit a little bit just to make that pass. So I think that Jett, like you said, he just pulled back, knew that he wasn't willing to take the risk at that stage. Again, he had caught up to him, made a couple efforts to get by, and he's like, you know what, I'm going big picture here. So,
and I think that RC, that's what he had said, Aaron. Aaron said post race interview. big picture, thinking of the championship. So,
Yeah.
Being smart, like I said, being smart about those situations, knowing who you're racing, knowing the points, knowing where you're at, knowing the conditions of the track, the heat, all of those things.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, dude, flowers to RJ. Guy
Dude.
I'm telling you, dude, he's done good, dude. Low key, he's done good.
Yes, he has. He rode
Well.
really well.
He did.
Got his he ended up on the podium, which was cool to see. I think it's been a long, I wouldn't say it's been a long time coming, but it has been a long time coming. I think the most impressive part with RJ is if you would have asked me 2 or 3 years ago how he would have done on a 450, I would have predicted probably not as good. I'll say it now, like his crashes on the 250 were pretty spectacular a lot of times. And I think a lot of that was maybe trying to override the bike for a horse, just from a strictly horsepower standpoint, trying to maximize every ounce and laying down every bit of horsepower that bike has. But now that he's on the 450, you typically think they're going to crash more or crash harder, but dude, he's done a phenomenal job and, got himself on that podium. So that's very impressive.
Yeah, he's been very consistent for sure. And another thing too, like think about it, dude, his wrist was messed up at the end of Supercross. He was contemplating not finishing the series, at Philly. And then at the restart, he got the whole shot and did well. And then finish out the championship. Then he comes in, not 100%. And he's been great. And to your point, RV, like I'm with you, some of the crashes. I mean, we were pretty critical of him here on the podcast the last several years. But I like how the 450 kind of forces him not to override it. And he's done a hell of a job. So kudos to you. Eli, I was wondering what happened, like when he fell back the first moto, but then come to find out he's been a little bit, I don't know, under the weather. Something's going on. He said he was far from 100%. So that kind of makes sense. And if it was hot and humid in RV, dude, if you're sick or you're ailing just that little bit, you're going to feel it at a hot race. So
yeah, it seemed like that track, the conditions, Ironman, the heat, I think it affected more people than maybe we thought that it was going to. Eli, like you said, a little under the weather or whatever he's dealing with, so he got affected by it. Hunter just was on. He said how tough the conditions were, the heat, the track, the way it developed. I talked to Mitch last night on the phone. And his guys, he had some good motos with his guys, but all same thing. He's like, dude, I think Garrett had said, he told me Garrett was like, dude, it was, I think it was second moto, like 3 or 4 from the end. He's like, dude, it just like hit me like a heat wave hit me, so. And it's getting long on the tooth for the season too, right? Like,
especially for the 450 guys.
Yeah, we got 2 races left. They're going to go into SMX, but it's a long season, and that's one of the things that these guys have to do. They have to do that very, very well to keep themselves in this fight for the championship towards the end of the season. Is managing your strength, your body, your fitness, your well-being on that front, the mental state of it. So because it's such a long season and every single weekend these guys go out and spill their guts out on the track and have to recover through the week, but also while training and riding. So during the week. So it's a tough balance.
Yep, it is. Dude, I texted Mitch last night. I hadn't talked to him in a while.
Oh yeah.
He didn't text me back, bro. He left me on red. He's probably talking to me. He was. He probably was. I love that, dude. Let's switch gears before we get to the quad lock question of the week. Dude, Joe, Sushi is riding good, dude.
Yeah, he is.
I love to see it. But he's done this is what he's done a lot of his career. He comes on strong.
He has.
So no surprise. I'm stoked for him. I think his bike's working well. Looks good. Looks balanced to me. It looks pretty forgiving, like side torsion and stuff like that. It doesn't look twitchy. And dude, I like one thing that impresses me about Joe RV is like I feel like he's strong, like he's in good shape. Like he'll be hanging on by a thread, dude. And that guy he can go deep into the red, I feel like.
Yep. Yeah. And look, I think Honda's found some stuff with the motorcycle from the outside looking in, and I'm just purely speculating on this, but starts have been there. He's put himself in good positions. The only way to do that is to have a good motorcycle underneath of you, number one, and also then it falls back on the rider. But we haven't mentioned Haiden today at all, but stellar performance from him, and same thing. It's like Hunter racing Jett or Joe racing Haiden. The level's so high. My question is what is I think I heard it on the broadcast, free agent coming into next season. I don't think he's got a deal inked yet. Either he's going to stay where he's at, maybe move. I have no idea. If it were me, if I'm Lars, and he's eligible, which I think he is eligible to stay down, Hayden's moving up. We just heard all that news, which is big news. He's going to be 450 next year. Like, Joe's sitting in a great position right now. If he can start his 2026 season where he ends off here, I think he'll be definitely in it for the championship, but he has to start. That's been Joe's weakest point his whole career, is the start of his seasons. We know, like you just said, RC, he comes on strong every season at the end of the year. But he needs to come into the season like he left off his 25 into 26. So I think it's gonna be really cool. I think it'd be great for the sport, and also just because I'm a sushi fan.
Me too.
Championship, next year.
Yeah, I had heard. I swore I thought I had heard that maybe he was staying at Honda. I don't know.
Yep, I think so. It sounds like they're trying really hard to bring him back for the 250. Is what Aaron.
That'd be good. Yeah, man, you talk about, dude. He actually started off the Supercross series so good, and then got hosed.
Yes, I guess you're right. He did start off this year better, and then obviously the pit board incident with his finger put a wrench in the program. But I'd love to see it happen for next year. I think he's a good dude.
Me too. I would. So before we go to the quad lot question, last thing on the 250s. So I was watching a race, and I got on X and was saying, again, I thought it would be cool that if Haiden, we've already talked about this, if he would ride the 450, the final round, I feel like, and I'm repeating myself, I feel like he has the self-discipline to not put him in a bad situation, to where he could possibly get hurt. The reason that I say that is because, going off of past experience of what maybe I could have changed doesn't mean that it's right for everybody. I think that in 1998, if I would have been able to race opposite coasts on the bigger bike, I feel like it would have given me some insight of what to look forward to in 99, and it would have helped me have a better understanding of how the bike works in a race situation, not a practice and test track situation. And I felt at the time going in, if Mitch would have let me do that, I would have had enough self-discipline, no matter if I was in a heated battle or how bad I would want to show everyone that I could run with these guys. Knowing that I had the 125 Supercross championship lingering in the background, I think I could have, had the discipline to not override and just gained. That's why I said that. I still feel I'm strong on my position there. I still feel like he could learn something from a race situation that will pay it forward into the 2026 season, because everyone's saying, well, he's going to be in 2026, he's going to be outdoors. That's right. He is going to be outdoor, but you don't think for 1 second he don't want to come out there and win in 26 against Jett? He's just going to mail it in, and it's a learning year. Come on, dude.
Let me ask you this. Do you think, I think the topic you're on right now, I think that may have happened if maybe we didn't have SMX. Just with SMX coming up, a couple weeks off, whatever, boom, boom, and we were right into Charlotte. And I think he may take that opportunity on a 450 for the last round. If it was wrapped up, at Budds Creek, if he wraps it up, I think that opportunity would probably be exercised potentially if we didn't have SMX. But we put a lot of emphasis on SMX. It's a third championship, a lot of money on the line. I think maybe that's par for the thinking that they are thinking, okay, let's stay 250 because we have these extra 3 rounds, and not extra, but 3 rounds of SMX and another championship on the line.
Yeah. Again, I'm with you. I agree with you for sure. But yeah, just like clarifying, I thought he should, he should ride the 450 at budget because it's just 250. It's not a popular opinion. I just, maybe I'm thinking wrong and thinking about what I would have done. And I know that I made the mistake. I go back to the times, I think MC did it when he was on peak. There were a couple of times when he'd race the opposite coast on 250.
The biggest one I can tell you, RC, is Dunge did it. Like he went from 250, and I think he did like three rounds of actual Supercross on a 450, and I think that totally helped him transition, but also helped him in the 250 class. But once again, we didn't have SMX.
Yeah. That's kind of my point. And I'm not thinking about SMX just because I think the one race, I feel like it would be okay. I understand the risk that is involved and that is being taken. I'm well aware of that. I think there's just a lot to gain. And even like K-Dub, I thought it was so cool how K-Dub used to do that. And I'm like, damn, man, it's gotta help you, and, so anyhow, that's where I'm at with it, brother. Hey, let's go to the quad lock question of the week. I think we've talked about this before, but the winner is Aaron Abraham. Aaron Abraham has a great question, and our producer liked this question also. I thought it was good. So Aaron, congratulations. You know what to do. Slide into the DM. I'm sure JH has already reached out to you. But the question is, with how good RJ Hampshire is looking on the 450, does that sport keep guys on a 250 too long? Or does that sport keep guys on a 250 too long? Another example is Ty Masterpool. He was up front on a 450, and now he's not on a 250. Well, what do you think?
Well, I think I don't know. Okay. RJ, for example, different.
We've talked about this before, but yeah.
Yep. RJ different than Ty Masterpool, and I'll explain why I think that. But RJ, maybe maybe was in the 250 class a year to 2 years, maybe call it too long, but they were trying to maximize his 250 career and get him a championship. Number one, that's kind of the end goal, right? That's
right.
And he didn't point out. So,
right.
Yeah, maybe I would say maybe there. Now I'm going to use Ty Masterpool as an example. Yes, he was performing very well on his 450. But this is where I think things change with some riders in that position. Is Ty Masterpool 450 privateer. Now Ty Masterpool 250 factory pro circuit. I think when you are in some guys, and we've talked about this once or twice, RC, is when you are under the factory truck, under the factory tent, there's a whole set of different pressures that are brought or that are on your shoulders than being a privateer. And some guys thrive off of that pressure. Being under a factory team can deal with it. And some guys do better in a privateer standpoint or underneath that truck. I think if Ty Masterpool was on a 450, I don't think he would be doing as good as he did on his privateer 450. I don't think he would be doing as good as he is in the 250 class on, say, factory Kawasaki. I think that being on a factory team as a whole, there's a whole bunch more pressure put on your shoulders to perform for that factory because you're in that position for a reason. You got hired for a reason. So that's what I particularly feel is I don't think that Ty Masterpool on a 450 would be doing any better than he is right now in the 250 class. If not, I'd say worse.
Yep. Fair. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Yeah. And Aaron, I think everyone has their own opinions of, outside of the great insight that RV said, a lot of meat there is it's not up to us to make the rules or anything. I think that the rule could be tweaked for sure. Especially it would help younger kids coming up get a shot at a decent ride and some decent finishes that could, maybe shape and form their career. But there's so many things and so many moving parts there. I do think that it needs to be tweaked. I've said that before, to help the younger guys coming up. But I also, if I'm an older dude, I also understand why they wouldn't want to change it. And guys are making a good living in the 250 class, whereas if they went to the 450 and they were under a factory tent, like what RV was saying, and the pressures that come with that, they probably wouldn't be doing. Maybe they wouldn't be doing as well, and then end up losing their ride after some stage because they weren't performing. I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough balance.
And I think RC, we only have like every couple years. It doesn't happen every single year. Like I was just at Loretta's, got to watch the pro class, got to see the kids that are on their way up, that are in the position to go to Star Racing or Pro Circuit or any one of these. Like there's some years that maybe there is maybe not enough seats for the amount of riders we have. And then there's a lot of years that we don't have enough riders for the seats that we have. So if we had a rule, and like I said, I don't know how to change it to make it better. I haven't put a ton of thought into it actually. But like a guy like RJ, 29 years old, just this is his first 450 outdoor season. Then he'll be 450 for Supercross. So essentially he just, this current year, he was in the 250 class in Supercross, 29 years old. If you had to push these guys out or pushed these guys out, the feeder system that we have, sometimes or a lot of times we don't have the caliber of riders coming out of the AMs to fill those other spots. So I don't know how to fix it. Some years we do have the feeder system works great, and there's a lot of times it doesn't. And that's why I think, because we've had the age limit rule and you move out after a certain age. Now it's basically you win a championship, and then you get to defend, and then you're on your way out.
Yeah, points, consecutive points, or a certain amount of points over consecutive years. Yeah, and then Europe, like I'll use an example. So, right, what is Europe? You have to move up to the MXGP class after
23, right?
23, okay. Michael Hurrup is a great example of how maybe that's not the best route because he had to move up. So therefore Triumph didn't have a 450. So essentially he didn't have a ride. The guy killed it last year, podiums, contending for wins in MX2 class. So he came over here and now he can kind of stay put. So like it's kind of a moving target. I'm with you. I don't know if it's age. I don't know if it's, amount of races that forces you to go up. It's again, it's a moving target and I don't know what's right. I'm with you on that one, brother.
I don't write the rules. I don't want to write the rules.
Hell no.
I'll just talk about them.
I didn't even want that, dude. I just want to go to the races, see my friends, watch some races, talk about it, and move on. That's it, dude. We got a little promo read for you, though, about what's on NBC. Here you go. 3 p.m. Thursday, SMX Insiders with the two Jasons. Dude, I got lucky enough, RV, that they're going to ask me to be on the big interview. So looking forward to that. Those guys do a fantastic job. Looking forward to talking to them. But Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern time, race day live, qualifying at Dilla. And then 1 p.m. Eastern, Pro Motocross be the races on live on Peacock. And then 7 p.m. Eastern, the NASCAR Cup Series at Richmond later on that night, Saturday. Love me some Richmond. If you haven't watched NASCAR at Richmond, it's a hell of a race. I will definitely be tuned in to both the Pro Motocross Championship at Unadilla and then the NASCAR. My weekends at home are winding down, RV. So there's what you got, dude. So shout out, or I shouldn't say shout out, thoughts, and glad he's okay to Connor Zilich. Did you see him when he was doing his celebration and he fell down? Man, that was
I did see that. Yeah.
I'm glad that it was only a broken collarbone. That was scary. So
knocked
glad
out.
he's all right.
So he did. So collarbone and being knocked out. It
was scary. I didn't even like watching that stuff. Ugh.
Yeah, straight to the dome, man.
Yeah. Well, that's it, dude. Have a great week. Hey, real quick, Dilla, what do you think? I got to give a shout out to the track promoters at Unadilla. They have done a great job, just continuing to make improvements. I was pretty critical of the track back in the day. I was young and silly and shouldn't have been saying the things that I was. But
well, I'll tell you this, RC. I started 06. We still had Saturday practice. I actually know Unadilla is one of my favorite tracks to race that I've raced in Pro Motocross. But it's come a long ways, to your point. When I started going there in 06, which you were going there prior to that, way a lot more rocky and much more slippery than it currently is now. So take that for what you want it, good or bad. I think they've improved the track a ton. The dirt's better. There's less rocks. I think it's a great race track. Different riders perform better at that. I think Dylan Ferrandis is one that has in the past done very well there. A little more European style. So I always loved going to Unadilla. It's coming up. It's like I said, it's one of my favorite rounds that I got to race. But yeah, to your point, they've done a massive amount of call it improvements with the dirt, the track race as well. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right, sweet. I'm looking forward to it too. Yeah, Ferrandis, good call. So it'll be good. Thanks again, Hunter, for coming on. That was a lot of fun. Thanks to all our fans for tuning in. You guys have been awesome all season long. Can't believe we only have 2 more rounds and we're into the playoffs. Thanks to our sponsors, United Motorsports, Quadlock, Boxo, Dunlop, Cardo. Remember, we're on all of the applications for podcasts. You can check us out. And of course, Motorsports on NBC is a YouTube page. And then we are on demand on Peacock if you want to watch us. Great job today, RV. I'm chilling the rest of the day. Got some housework to do. And then, my kids start their senior year on Wednesday, bro. That is nuts.
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah.
Wild week.
Third grade for us.
Dang. There you go. I wish I was in 3rd grade, dude, if I could do it over again. All right, brother. All good. Thanks, everybody. And we will see you next week.
Sounds good, boys.
Woo.
Hi folks, Lee Diffie from NBC Sports. If you enjoyed what you just watched, well, it's time to bring the action and subscribe to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube channel. You can have it all: news, highlights, interviews, and analysis. So go for it.